How many of you ever been picked on, bullied? How many of you ever bullied back and struck back? So we're in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. When someone starts to attack you, you can counterpunch, you can punch back, but that's not what Jesus wants you to do. That's not what God wants you to do. So we're in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and there's a bunch of Christians pounding on the Apostle Paul. Let's learn a few lessons about how to respond when people start to attack us. Maybe you have an enemy that mocks you, belittles you. Maybe you're in a conflict with your friend or a family member or a Christian, a boss, a coworker. Don't get mad. Watch this. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. If you're a child here today, there is a children's sermon guide. Get that. If you're an adult, teenager, take the sermon guide out of the bulletin. Watch how Paul responds, and he's being rejected. He's being bullied. He's being attacked in all kinds of ways. Watch how he responds. Verse 1. I wish you would bear with me in a little foolishness, but indeed you are bearing with me. Notice that little phrase, bear with me. There are people in our church who sends me emails, and they're mature people, and they say at the bottom, thank you for your patience. What Paul is saying is, please be patient with me. I'm going to suggest to you, number one, when people start to attack you, why not just simply say to them, hey, can we talk as friends? In other words, don't treat the people around you like the enemy. That's the last thing Jesus wants you to do. Paul is friendly here. He's asking for patience. He's asking for them to tolerate him. He's asking them literally to be kind. And Paul is trying to be kind. Watch verse 2. Notice how unbelievable Paul responds with one thing specific. Watch this. I'm jealous for you with a godly jealousy. You could write the word agape love above that, or phileo love, biblical love, phileo love. For I led you to one husband, I betrothed you to one husband, so that to Christ I might present you as a pure virgin. Paul is just simply saying, look, when I led you to Jesus, I did not have extra motives. I wasn't trying to lead you to Jesus so I could get your money. Paul wasn't saying, I'm a hypocrite. Paul's saying, look, I just wanted you to meet Jesus. I wasn't out to get something from you. Can I make the suggestion to you, number two? When people start to pick on you, pour on Jesus love, not man's hatred. You know how to be mean. You know how to be nasty. You know how to be cruel. This verse 2 has Jesus all over it. And Paul simply is following Jesus. For I'm jealous for you with a godly jealousy. Agape love is that sacrificial love. And phileo love is that friendships where friends can talk. This literally godly jealousy is people try to get along as kind people, not mean. So I just want to nudge you. Follow Paul's words here. Listen to me. Roger, don't just pretend to love others. Really love people. Hate what is wrong, but don't hate people. Hold tight to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring people. By the way, that's Romans chapter 12, verses 9 to 10. Paul simply is stepping up. He's being attacked, and he's trying to say, I want to be your friend. And he's simply saying, hey, I really care for you. I'm not trying to be mean. Look at verse 3. Sometimes, friends, when someone attacks you, you got to recognize what's going on in the attack. Watch this. But I'm afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve, that would be the devil, deceived Eve, by his craftiness, your minds will be led astray from the simplicity and the purity of devotion to Jesus. See, we Christians get upset when people pick on us, and then we simply start acting just like the enemy. We start punching back. What Paul's arguing here is that's what the devil's trying to do, is to get you to be mean, to get you to be angry, to get you to be upset. And that's exactly how the devil twisted Adam and Eve to walk away from God. Listen to him. Evil exists. Evil is real. And if you play with evil, you'll find it acceptable. And you'll go counter-punching people. I have watched grown, mature pastors duke it out. I have watched grown, mature husbands and wives duke it out. Christians. Friends, this should not be. Evil is popular. We like to do evil. Why? It's in our nature. Every one of us here knows how to be mean-spirited. What Paul is pushing us toward is, come on, have a godly love for each other. Honor one another. May I suggest, number 3, deception by the devil is real? Paul's trying to point that out. I'm afraid you Christians at Corinth, as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, your minds will be led astray from the simplicity and the purity of devotion to Christ. What's the simplicity of the gospel? What's the simplicity of Jesus? Come on, love one another. Love each other. Don't hate. Eve and Adam were trapped by Satan. You can be trapped by Satan. You don't want to go there. Can I give you a couple of suggestions for books to read, those of you that are at an academic level and you like to stretch it a little bit? Book number 1, this is a great book, The Bait of Satan. Buy it, read it twice a year. Great book. Now, if you want a greater book to read, this one many of you have read. I've used it many, many times in small men's Bible studies. C.S. Lewis, The Screwtape Letters. Evil is real. The devil is real. You do not want to move toward evil. The closer you walk with evil, the more problems you will have. And everybody else around you will get caught up in the drama. Pretty sad. May I suggest to you, if Eve and Adam can be deceived, anyone here can be deceived. And you will turn and act just like the enemy. I want to have a little fun for a moment, if I can have someone give me permission. All right, I heard someone and I saw Gary nod his head. This is a little humor for men and women. Okay? Now, apply this to both genders, all right? Apply this to your wife, apply this to your husband. This was sent to me by a female, okay? A man was walking along a California beach and he was deep in prayer. Or you could turn the story this way. A woman was walking along the California beach deep in prayer. Suddenly the sky clouded above his head, and in a booming voice, God said to the man on the beach, "Because you've tried to be faithful to me in all ways," God said, "I will grant you one wish." The man responded to God, "God, would you build a bridge to Hawaii from California so I can drive over to Hawaii anytime I want?" God responded, "Your request is very materialistic. Think of the enormous challenges for that kind of undertaking. The concrete supports required to reach the bottom of the Pacific, the steel that it would take. It would nearly exhaust several natural resources." God said, "I can do it, but it is hard for me to justify your desire for worldly things. Take a little bit more time," God said to the man, "and think of something that would honor and glorify me." So the man thought about it for a long time, and finally the man said, "God, instead of a bridge, I wish I could understand my wife. I want to know how she feels inside, what she's thinking when she gives me the silent treatment, why she cries, what she means when she says nothing's wrong, and how I can make my wife truly happy. And the Lord replied to the man, on that bridge, do you want 2 lanes or 4 lanes? Male or female, we can all get twisted up here. And we can punch back. Just like Adam and Eve messed it up. Can I suggest to you number 4, under attack, treat everyone with fairness and respect. You say, Roger, where did you get that? Friends, listen to me. No one likes a cold shoulder. No one likes to be belittled. No one likes to be snubbed. And no one likes to be ignored. So look at verse 4. Paul is appealing to fairness in verse 4. He says this in his argument. For if one preacher comes and preaches another Jesus, a different Jesus, different than the Jesus that Paul preached, whom we have not preached, or you receive a different spirit which you have not received from Paul, or a different gospel which you have not accepted. You accepted the gospel from Paul, the gospel of Jesus. Now watch this. To these liars and deceitful preachers, these other ones, watch this, you bear with them beautifully. What Paul is saying, those false preachers you treat with respect, but you won't treat me with respect. You say, Roger, are you really sure that's what it's saying? Look at verse 5. Paul appeals to him. For I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostles. He's just simply asking for respect. Ladies and gentlemen, every man, every woman, by God's design, should be respected. And you should literally understand what's going on here. Number 5, stand your ground and show respect to yourself. We're living in a compromised world. Somehow changing reality by changing labels, we think that's going to change reality. Friends, it's not going to change reality. People's nature still lies. We still cheat. We still do the wrong things. I'm simply saying to you, Paul did not wimp out. He stood his ground. Don't be a snowflake. Don't be somehow melt when you have to stand up and speak the truth in love. Don't wimp out. Courage up. Don't compromise. Look at verse 5 again. For I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostles. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to my heart as you listen to my words. If you believe in the 10 commandments, stand up for the 10 commandments. If you believe Jesus was crucified, buried, and resurrected, stand up for them. When people come at you at school or people come at you at work and they don't believe that Christianity is true, you don't have to strike back, but stand your ground. Don't wimp out. If you believe that forgiveness is the key to the universe, and God does, stand your ground. Paul is simply saying, look, you treated all these liars better than you treated me, and I presented you the truth. Paul is appealing for fairness. Listen to me now. If you're pro-life, stand your ground. If you believe that a baby at conception is a human being, stand your ground. Lying is lying. Stealing is stealing. Cheating is cheating. Stand your ground. If your boss is cheating, stand your ground. If the employee is cheating, stand your ground. Show yourself respect in what you believe. We're living in a world of compromise. We compromise because of substance abuse, image abuse, and character abuse. And we somehow think it's just okay to just constantly lie about it. Lie about it. Back up. What do you believe? Who are you? What is right? What is wrong? I'm gently saying to you, you're made in the image of God. God loves you. Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection is proof of that. Stand your ground. Don't be a wimpy Christian. Show yourself respect. Show others around you respect. Speak only the truth, only in love. Listen, if you honor Jesus first, you're going to find respect. If you honor the 10 Commandments first, you're going to find respect. People are going to trust you because you don't steal, you don't lie. People are going to trust you because you're reliable. Stand your ground. Do what's right. May I suggest to you number 6? When people come at you to attack you, express your strengths and your weaknesses. Here's what I'm good at, and here's what I'm not good at. You say, Roger, where'd you get that? Look at verse 6. Paul is trying to appeal to these Christians who have rejected him, and he says, but even if I am unskilled in speech, he's saying I'm a below average preacher. Okay, even if I have this weakness in preaching, look at the next phrase. Yet I am not so in knowledge. In every way we have made this evident to you in all things. Paul is saying, okay, at preaching, I'm not very good. But when it comes to knowing the Bible, knowing God, knowing Jesus, he says, I'm excellent at it. Paul has the courage to say, this is my strength and this is my weakness. You have to be willing to admit your strengths and weaknesses to people around you. Be honest, be gracious, be transparent. You can't be Superman. You can't be Superwoman. That doesn't exist. Stand your ground, show respect to yourself, treat everyone with fairness and respect. Deception by the devil is real. Pour on love, not hatred. And can we talk as friends? Now, why do I say this? Because it's in everyone's nature in this room to counterpunch. We all want to beat up each other. Husbands want to beat up wives, wives want to beat up husbands, etc., etc., etc. It's in our nature. We have this tendency to go against what is good. For example, watch this.
Ach, Scheiße, fällt ihn noch an und wird von den Schafen überrannt. Scheiße.
Das ist der Bock, ne?
Ja.
Na gut, davor.
Ach, Scheiße. Hey, 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 hey. Scheiße. Pass auf mit den...
Does it feel good to strike? Yeah. But it's not the way Jesus wants you to do it. Jesus says, love your enemies. Love those who persecute you. Any one of us can turn in a second and strike out. I'm suggesting to you, number 7, use questions to help people think. When people start attacking you, just start asking questions. Look at verse 7. Paul says to them, did I commit a sin in humbling myself so that you might be exalted because I preach the gospel of God to you without charge? Just ask questions. Start asking questions in the friendly conversation. Look at verse 8. Here's a rhetorical question. I robbed other churches by taking wages from them to serve you? It's rhetorical. The answer is no. Paul did not do that, and they know that he did not do that. Ask questions. It's amazing when you ask questions how it causes people to think through their emotions. Number 8A. Stay humble. When you're being attacked, restate the facts. Look at verse 9. And when I was present with you and was in need, I was not burdened to anyone. For when the brethren came from Macedonia, they supplied my need, and in everything I kept myself from being a burden to you, and will continue to do so. He's just simply saying, look, I didn't take advantage of you. I didn't ask you for a dime. I loved you sacrificially. Restate the facts. How many of you heard of the alligator from Pennsylvania? So a man in Pennsylvania registered an emotional support alligator. Joey Henney is the man, and he says his pet Wally likes to give hugs. Joey says he told reporters that his doctor gave him approval to use the 5-foot-long alligator for emotional support rather than medication for depression. So Joey takes Wally to the Senior Citizen Center, to the minor league baseball games, and Joey says Wally is just like a dog, a pet dog. Wants to be loved and petted. Now think with me, what's in the nature of an alligator? Guess what? Came across another story, a lady in Indonesia. She had a 14-foot crocodile as a pet. 14-foot crocodile as a pet. Earlier this month, she was killed by that crocodile. Now listen to me carefully. The story is told about a scorpion and a frog. They met on the bank of a stream. The scorpion asked the frog, "Carry me across the water on your back." And the frog said, "How do I know you won't sting me?" And the scorpion said, "Because if I sting you, you will die and I will die in the water." The frog was satisfied, and the two set out across the water, and at midstream, the scorpion stung the frog. As the frog started to sink, knowing they would both drown, the frog yelled out, "Why? Why?" And the scorpion replied, "It's in my nature." It is in your nature to counterpunch. It doesn't help. Godly jealousy is love one another. Renaming reality doesn't change reality. Stick to the facts of Scripture. You're going to be a whole lot better off. Jesus promises that. God promises to bless you if you'll follow his path. My time is up.